It's not beer pong. It's not cornhole. It's Pop Darts. And it's taken over the sports world one suction cup at a time. From ESPN's Top 10 to your living room table, this is What's Poppin', the most satisfying sports podcast in the world, with Mr. T and the Commish. The game, the players, the wild moments you can't script, and the laughter that comes with it. Two guys, one league, zero filter. Let's go.
What's poppin', everybody? Welcome to episode 9. This is our working title here is Growth, Rankings, and What People Don't See. You're going to get a little bit of behind-the-scenes stuff as far as how the Scoreholio app works, the way the rankings work. We've got a fantastic guest that we're bringing in that knows everything about it, upside down, forwards, backwards, and in and out. Anything you didn't think you knew about Scoreholio, he's going to teach us about it today, and we're going to get all our questions answered, and we're going to run right into it. We're going to get talking about what's happening right now in the world of Pop Darts leagues, how things are growing in the leagues. We're going to get into some things that fans have been misunderstanding lately and kind of clarify a few things there. And we may take a quick call back to the fan mailbag episode and get a few laughs in.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a cool, I hope you're having a great week. I hope you had a great week.
Same
I think
to you.
that
All good.
It's been, this has been fun. And our guest today, he's one of those guys I knew when we started this, that this is a guy we're going to want on here.
Yeah.
I think our fans are going to want to know. They're going to have a lot of questions, in that piece, he has all the answers. Calling him an expert would be
an
probably
insult.
Doing him a disservice.
Yes.
He is. He's the founder. He's the owner, and sit back, relax, and enjoy the interview, because he's man. It's fun to bring other people on, get their perspective. There's a lot of working pieces of the Pop Darts community, and he's not a small piece of that community.
No, he's a much larger piece of that community than he may get credit for as of now. I think.
Yeah. And I agree with that.
Yeah,
I do. I think that he allowed us to grow, a little quicker than maybe we otherwise would have. So that part of it is very cool, and I'm excited to have him on board and have him be a part of the episode today. I have a kind of question for you, so I'm going to ask you some questions I kind of know the answer to.
Okay,
then we'll discuss. I'd like to kind of see where you're at. So you're talking about league growth, okay? What's your perspective on the outside? You're technically, you're kind of an insider, but you're on the outside of the APL.
A little bit.
What's your? We're now a little bit over 2 months in to our first year. What's your thoughts? How do you think the league's growing? What do you think's going on? Within the APL.
I'm amazed every week. Every time I get onto social media, I can't not see something happening in a Pop Darts league. Whether it's just a highlight or somebody's live or there's a tournament going on as I'm scrolling, it's everywhere. It's just taking over my feed on everything, which is so fun to see because I'm getting to see all these new players. I can't wait to meet all these guys, girls, and everybody, kids. It's just growing and growing and growing, and it's just exciting. It's just so fun.
I love when we have these conversations, because I kind of know the answers. I kind of work behind the scenes on some of this, but you never cease to kind of change my perspective or change kind of the way that I look at it, because I never really thought about it. It's all over my feed. It's what I do, but I never really kind of took a step back and said, it is almost every night, every other day, another league, another highlight. And 2 months ago, we'd have a highlight here and there,
sure.
And we'd have the big ones, and we'd have the content producers that like yourself that played and did some cool stuff for the community. But from a league standpoint, it's cool when you change perspective. My perspective, it's almost every day night, and it's almost there's tournaments happening with such frequency that didn't exist 2 months ago,
right?
And that is I mean, and it's a hats off to the organizers and the players, because that's a cool change, guys, in little over 60 days. To see something like that grow. So,
well, I got to give a major
you.
shout out to you, Jeremy. You have done amazing things for this sport. You've created the APL, and everything you've done in integrating Scoreholio with the Pop Darts world has been beautiful, and just everything you've done. Thank you so much from everybody.
I appreciate that, and I will. Like, all I could say is it's not really me. I may be kind of the guy behind the scenes doing it, but it's the organize. Every single area and piece of growth is those other guys. It's those organizers. The guys down in Florida, these guys in Texas and Wisconsin. It's Iowa. I mean, holy cow!
Right.
He runs a 30-person league. It's those guys really do, you know what I mean, put the effort in there on the ground floor. Like, I love being a part of it, don't get me wrong, and it's fun. It's Jason and Josh. I mean, I meet with them and they don't say no. I come in, hey, we got to do something for the player. Yeah, let's do it. We got to do something let's do it. Those are the guys. I mean, boy, I thank you. I mean, I appreciate that, but holy cow, it's a team of just absolutely fantastic people with kind of a goal in mind, and a really good, consistent goal. So I appreciate that, but a lot of thanks to some of those guys. There's some
shout out, big props to all the organizers. So, yes,
yeah, absolutely. And here's a stat I'm gonna give you. I'll give you some, like, an actual number, because I think this is cool, and I see your reaction. Number of active players when the league started its first year. So we had been playing tournaments. We had a mini season. We were testing it out. Mm-hmm. Number of active players on October 1st compared to today is 12 times bigger today.
12x.
It's a 12x bigger in 60 days. So that's just incredible. It is. I didn't think we'd be close. And I've had big expectations. I've had, worked hard, but wow.
Right.
That is a lot of players. It is a lot of people. And looking at the next 30 days, I'm going to guess it doubles from what it is today.
I believe it.
It's the direction these guys are going, and the direction that the league is going. So, talking about growth and, and all that kind of stuff it's pretty cool. It's a special thing to watch happen and to watch, grow. Although we got to shout out, I mean, not that everybody on my Facebook watches our podcast, but I went live on virtual, and half the people watching had no idea what Pop Darts is. I'm like, you guys are my friends. Like, you don't know what I do yet? Like, come on now. Like, what's going on?
Right.
No, I'm kidding. Thanks for watching the live. Now you know what Pop Darts is. So, and I don't go live that often, but I was kind of laughing at that live. I was like, what do you mean? Like, what is this? Like, that was too funny. It made me laugh. So yeah, you're saying, you mentioned kind of one things that, like, fans aren't, like, maybe misunderstanding or may not. Is there anything that you wonder about or don't know, or think that, you're not a fan, you play, so you understand the rules side. Is there anything, like, league wise, like, we're talking league growth, leagues that, like, maybe a fan or I don't even want to call a fan, maybe a casual player, first time player may, like, not understand or may not know about the league?
Yeah, let me ask you one that I think a lot of people would want to know the answer to. What does it take as far as tournaments, rankings? What do you have to do to make it to the big show in Orlando and get on that ESPN stage?
It's an incredibly common question. And while we've been busy and while we've been growing, there's a lot of growth left. There's a lot of things. I'll just start by saying that. And that is one. We got to get some of that stuff out there. And we have been working incredibly hard the last couple of weeks on tutorials on how to join the league, on how to become an organizer, and with that are things like our schedule, like our, path to being a pro, and path to being, to getting yourself up there. The short answer to your question is, if you want to guarantee yourself a spot or a chance to play for a spot on ESPN, because it's a tournament of somewhere between, and we're working on venues and logistics, it's going to be between 150 and 200 players that get an invitation to nationals.
Nice.
If you want to guarantee yourself a spot there, you got to rank in the top 100. That's what I tell players. I'm not saying that you can't rank a little lower, and there's going to be, exceptions, and there's going to be pieces and stuff that are going on for the national, tournament invitation. But the top 100, that's what I'm telling players right now. If you're ranked in the top 100, the invite, that's who we're telling players. So that's where you go. You build your score, you build your I don't want to call it a community, but you build your teams and your area and kind of really grow that. And that's what gets you points, and that's what gets you moving. And the schedule will be out soon, which means people are going to get to see if they want to come. Maybe you don't have a lot of local leagues, local things. There's some big tournaments coming up. There's big tournaments coming up in April. There's going to be a big one. We're going to have the conference series is starting in Florida, where there's going to be 45 to 100 players in each one of those events. So there's always a chance to, play, grow your rankings, build your national, profile. And I guess I'd say to everybody else, you've got tons of time. It's January, guys.
Yeah.
We're at least 6+ months away from that. At the growth rate we're talking, there are players that probably have never heard of Pop Darts of the APL that may be in that invite list, that may grow to that, top 100 spot. Right. So for those feeling behind, I would just say I don't think you're close to being behind. Like you're just getting started. Yeah. If you're watching this in January, you're ahead of the game probably.
Right.
So it'd be my kind of take on,
okay.
What you're asking, like, how do you get there? It's a common question too.
So a follow up on that. So speaking of leagues being, we're not everywhere yet. So there are going to be guys that are playing somewhere in a town where the closest tournament could be 4 or 5 hours away, and they just can't make the trip. Can you earn your position by doing virtual leagues? Can you earn your way into a regional or a major thing that can get you some real points?
Yeah. And I don't think I maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll see if I get yelled at for this one. I don't think so. I don't think Jason Josh can be too mad at me, but absolutely. Because the league is in its infancy, it's so new. We are watching and paying attention to, and I don't want to be, it's a weird way to, but like key players, people who are really working to grow the sport. We are looking at people that are trying to organize, activities in their area. We're looking at people that, I know we had this fan, question last week, so we may have lit some fires, but we are looking at people that are looking to make content and looking to grow the sport and be, key players in the advancement of Pop Darts. So it's not 100% that way, so that's something that is, is important to note. I don't think it's, my issue is that's not a guarantee. Everybody wants to know what the guarantee, is, but you're right. Playing in virtual leagues, we've got an entire team of guys, that play virtual and they don't miss.
Yeah.
They're huge for the sport. That's huge. And it's not their problem that, that there may not be people in, in their area. And instead of complaining necessarily about it, they're still trying to grow their area, but they get on every week and play.
Yeah.
They get on every week and interact with the Pop Darts community. So those are some really good ways, to get in there. So
nice.
Yeah. So those are good questions. And actually probably the biggest fan misunderstanding is like, how do I do it? How do I get there? So, and I think they will, they can. Everybody, it is growing. So for the fans out there that, don't try, try to grow your area, reach out to me, reach out to our organizer base is exploding right now. There are so many resources out there for these organizers that have like kind of set the tone before you. Go reach out to them. They will reach out to you. They will help you. They will walk you through how to set up a league. They will walk you through, how they got players, how they developed and grew. They're given, clubs from 5-6 a night to 20. They've been there. There's resources out there. So, reach out to, to us at, the APL. We'll get you hooked up with somebody that'll help grow your area.
Yeah, for sure.
I like that. So, oh man, looking at this one, it's just we had one of these in here, and because I know we were talking about growth and I know we were doing it, so I'd put a note in here. One of the things I tell everybody and caution everybody, it's going to explode. We may have grown by 12 times, but I'm talking about doubling that, maybe doubling it again,
right.
by the time that it's going to expose cracks. Like I put a note in there, like, guys, growth is going to expose some cracks.
Sure.
We're not perfect. And that's one thing, where like, it's okay. We're not perfect.
Yeah.
You don't, and actually I think that's a good thing.
It is.
I think it's a good thing that we have a level of flexibility. I think it's a good thing that the league isn't putting a hard line in the sand on, you got to do this and you got to do that. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And
the cracks being exposed, the issues that arise are not a problem. It's the way that we deal with those issues and cracks is going to be the way that we promote the growth of the sport.
Yeah. And Jason and Josh structured this sport to be a player first sport. That is something that it was structured this way. It's built this way. It's something I believe incredibly, much in. And because of that, I think players they're going to appreciate, the growth, and hopefully they'll give us a little bit of leniency when there's a crack here or two. And I also we've made these, we had a lot of these in the fan bag, but a lot of these comments, but it's okay. It happens in every league.
Right.
We're talking, I sat for 20 minutes last night debating an NFL rule last night. There's cracks in every league at every level. And yeah, that's okay. That's good. It's good. It's growth. Why the NFL changed the kickoff rule? Why are, people doing different things? These leagues evolve over time.
Right.
So, stick with us and, we'll be there for you. We'll get you guys there. We got you guys to the finish line. So yeah, I like it. I got a question for you. So what are you hoping Ben brings to this interview here that we got coming up?
I've got my biggest excitement with Scoreholio is the way that the new stat tracking is going to come out, where we can start tracking trick shots. We can start tracking, everything. It's going to be, I know he's going to have a lot of information, so I don't want to get into it too much, but that is what I am excited about the most, is just getting all these nerd stats about how many times I throw a tee number compared to how many times I get a position A maybe, or, there's just so much. You can just keep going. So I can't wait to find out how it's going to progress.
And I would say, first off, for those of you who don't know what Mr. T is talking about, Scoreholio has been working their butts off on what they call it Score Magic, but it's advanced statistics. And I won't get much into it either, because I'm really hoping that if Ben does not talk about it, we're going to ask him about it.
Right.
But they are creating advanced statistics. So you're going to be able to track a lot of different things about your game and about your shot. So I agree. That's going to be super cool. The other one that I'm hoping that we get from him is what formats. That's, to me, like, what does he like running? What doesn't he like running? Because I get a lot of questions about that from organizers. Is what, so, hopefully we get a little bit into, does he run round robins? What does he like about that? Does he run bracket play? These are a lot of questions I get. And from a guy with significantly more experience than me running tournaments, this guy spent his career doing it over crap. What does Scoreholio have? 12, 15, 20 sports. I don't even know. So I'm really hoping that we get him to kind of dive into that and, give us a little bit of his insight there. So, I think now's the time, man. I think we get Ben in here and get this interview kicked off. All right, here we go.
All right, guys, welcome to the part of our podcast where we have our guest interviews. We've got a real special guest today. He's our final guest of season 1. We've got Ben, the CEO, owner of Scoreholio, the app that we are all on, trying for those big numbers, trying to get those rankings up. Just wanted to see our name at the top. So, Ben, great to have you on.
Hey, good. Thanks for having me on. Jeremy's been talking to me for a good half of the year and pestering me, and so it's good to get out here and start talking to some other people in the Pop Darts world. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's been great seeing the app come together and everything it does. Everything's great. I was just going over my year-end recap and, I just need to get out there a little more, get in some more tournaments, but not too bad for what I've done.
Yeah, the year-end recap is always fun. A lot of people get them on Spotify or
Right.
other apps like that. Advanced stats, getting who you beat, who you beat the quickest, that kind of
Right.
stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty
good to
cool.
brag over somebody. So glad you were able to click that and take a look at it. We do it for the organizer as well, so that way they can take a look at all the players and theirs as well.
Yeah, the stats on here is unreal, and it's only going to get better. I'm really looking forward to it.
100%. Yeah.
It's been a really cool app. We've had a lot of time. I mean, I know that the What's Poppin' world may not know how much I've harassed Ben over the last 6 months, but it's been pretty. It's been pretty frequently.
They may know. I think they're getting harassed by you all the time, Jeremy. You're very good at harassing people. But you know what? It's what is it? The squeaky wheel gets the grease. So I will say, Tyler, I'm not sure if you're familiar, but Jeremy, well, you are because you work with him. But Jeremy's passion for this sport, this game, what it can be, what it will be because of this drive, is motivation for us as well over here. So we can't thank Jeremy enough for everything that he's done. The pushing is positive. It's not. I never take it as a negative, Jeremy. It's been.
That's awesome.
Your drive has gotten us, very positive as well. All three of us that are the main people over here at Scoreholio, we've been playing ourselves, trying to learn. My business partner, best friend, he still swears that throwing a tomahawk is,
oh, man.
still the best way to do it. I try to explain that it's not, but.
Yeah, I swear he must not watch the podcast. We've tried to outlaw the tomahawk.
Not allowed anymore.
I tried.
Season,
I am the only one throwing knobbers over here, so and he can't seem to throw one. So I'm like, maybe
if you're throwing tomahawks, then your pro dart has been redacted, and you are only allowed to throw rookies until you learn how to throw right.
I will say that the wife is pestering me to get some rookies in the house because she's having a little trouble sticking, but I think she's getting better. So, but she does love the game. It is the most satisfying sound in the world, right?
That's right.
I will tell you, every time she gets one, she's jumping in the air excited about it. So it's a lot of fun.
Did you end up? How did that tournament on the beach go? That sand get in your way? I know you were trying to run that one on the beach.
We did run it on the beach. We actually couldn't get the tournament in because it was we ran out of time. I was running a pickleball tournament down at these beach courts, and
nice.
These pickleball people will play forever if you give them enough time. And so we just ended up running out of time. But I did pull out 2 sets of boards, and we just kind of played for fun. The sand actually didn't affect them, but, we were on the pickleball courts. We weren't actually on the sand, so it didn't get too much sand on top of the darts or anything. But they had a blast, and I think we are going to be able to run the tournament the next time we're down there. So just ran out of time,
That's very cool.
So but I am wondering, do you think has anybody played on the sand? Have you had an effect on the sand before?
I have. It's not. I mean, it's tough.
Yeah.
It doesn't last long.
No. Once you get the sand on there,
yeah. I'm assuming.
And then you're ending up.
The table. I'm assuming that maybe just once you get it on the dart, that thing's not going to be able to stick.
Yeah.
Much.
And when I was doing it, I was using the lower boards, like the swap top style, and then you roll darts up, they fall off, you miss, and it shoots sand up on. So we had an awful going at it. Pool we do all the time. Love it at a pool.
Oh yeah,
it doesn't stick the greatest when it's soaking wet, but it's still a lot more fun than the sand is.
We made a floating board with some pool noodles and a piece of plexiglass.
There you go. That's cool. Yeah. So you just throw them in the pool?
Oh yeah.
I like that. See, the one issue we did have, I will say, was the wind, right? Because it was a little bit of windy at the beach, and that started to really push some things around. We were playing on the swap top level as well. I didn't bring down, the pro boards or anything like that. But, being low to the ground, you could see it going right towards the target, and then little gust of wind, and you're a little off there. But sometimes maybe that can help me out. I'm so bad at the game right now. Maybe I need the hand of God to kind of sweep the band and help me out, So, but I'll take all the help I can get. But Jeremy, I guess, is like the best in the world, or beating the best players in the world. So
I am 3-0. I'm going to keep saying I'm not close to the best in the world. Not even close. These guys are way too good. But I still am 3-0 against the guys ranked number one. So I've had three matches. I'm 3-0.
Nice.
Well,
2 of the 3 took a T-nobber to get. Okay. 2 of the 3 I had to hit a T-number to get them. So,
well, technically, I guess we have the same. I haven't lost to a pro either. So
I've lost to a lot of pros.
Well, see, I'm doing better than you. I've never even lost to one. How about you, Tyler? You ever played a pro?
Yeah, I've lost a few times on a big stage to a pro. Yeah.
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 Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, who knows the pro?
Yeah, it's been really fun and exciting watching. I'm not sure if your listeners are familiar, but in the sport of cornhole, we're pretty prevalent. A lot of people use us in that sport, and watching the growth of pop darts right now is very similar to what it was within cornhole. I started running cornhole about 15 years ago. Back then in Southern California, I think there were like 3 clubs down here from San Diego all the way up to like Bakersfield, which is, people that don't know, that's about a good 300-mile trek. Now you have, oh gosh, I mean, there's probably 70 clubs between San Diego and Bakersfield, and thousands and thousands of players. When I first started, we'd have 8 to 12 people show up, and then we ended up growing it into a league that had 280 players, 24 courts, 4 divisions, packing a house every night. The sport right now of pop darts is giving that same feeling, and the excitement is, and I just so you guys know, a little caveat here, I personally love playing bar sports, things like pop darts, cornhole, billiards, darts, and I suck at them all. I think I'm great, and I love it. And you know what? One of the things that drew me to cornhole when I first started was I was one of the only players, so I was actually pretty good because I knew how to throw it, right? In cornhole, you got to throw a bag flat, right? And if you could get that down, you're pretty good. You're going to beat a lot of people that are, in your sport, throwing a tomahawk, right? If you could throw a regular dart, you're going to beat a lot of people throwing tomahawks. Well, whenever I was starting out, getting it going, I was good, right? And so it had that excitement. You guys have that same excitement. Somebody could step in right now, and they could become the best player in the world because you know what?
Right.
There's, we're talking somebody that's 8 years old to 80 years old, and cornhole has that same feeling to it, right? So that you guys have that. Let's get the family out on a Thursday.
Yes.
Everybody can play in this league. Everybody could be competitive or just have fun, because that's how I went. I went from, hey, I'm competitive to, maybe I should just have fun when I come out here and play, because everybody's getting so much better than me, right? But that's the excitement of pop darts right now. At least, for us, we're watching it from the outside. I'm on the inside. I'm playing as well, but from the outside as an app, trying to get the tournaments going and the advanced scoring. We'll talk about that later. That excitement, getting everybody to be able to play is very exciting.
Yeah, and I don't know if I've said on the podcast, Mr. T, you can correct me if I have, but Ben, I 2,000% agree with you that if I was a betting man, that ESPN stage is going to have, as we sit here today, I'm going to make the prediction that ESPN stage will have somebody that they're going to have 2 players. One player that's playing but not ranked in the top, in the top 25 right now. It's going to have one player that has not picked up a dart yet. This is my general thought on the sport. Is I know that there's some really good players out there, but it's so new, and some of these guys that I meet get good fast. There's some naturals to the sport as it grows. So that's my bold prediction, is that there's going to be somebody on that top 4 stage in ESPN in August that has not picked up a dart as of early January, of this year. That's my bold prediction.
Well, in cornhole, it's a very similar throwing style to horseshoes, right? So at the beginning stages, there were a lot of horseshoe players that started coming over and started playing, and they would really dominate the sport. I'm really kind of curious when dart players start to really pick up the wind of, hey, what's going on over here in this pop darts world? And we start seeing some world-class dart players start showing up to some of these
crossovers.
Yeah, some crossovers. It'll be interesting.
We have a minor preview, and the axe throwing community is killing the Pop Dart scene. It's that consistent release. We have kind of 2 or 3 top 5 players. We have a 3-time world champ that are all ranked. They're all playing at a very high level in Pop Darts with almost, I don't want to say no, now they've been playing for, a month or so, but at the time we first met them, almost no knowledge of the game, played a couple times and really got good fast. So
like you said, it's that consistent release, right? It's almost like you got to get the release down to the right spot. I mean, especially like, the tower shot versus, trying to hit a T-knobber or something like that. You got to get maybe a little more arc on it, maybe get a little bit further, for that T-knobber shot. If you can get those consistent, then you're going to be a better player, than kind of with an axe throwing. Because, we do work with axe throwing as well. And if you're going for the bullseye versus a clutch, which could be like the little circle on the top right, the speed of your hand, the release of it, it's all going to determine where you're going to be hitting that axe. Same thing in Pop Darts, where you're going to be throwing that dart at. So I can see that as well.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that the Pop Dart scene is growing. It's expanding. You're seeing that. In your experience, you've worked with a lot of sports. As a competitive scene grows quickly, what breaks first? What do you notice that, is there anything that you notice that, breaks first or breaks down, or tell us kind of your opinion on stuff like that as a sport takes off and grows.
Yeah, I would say that the main thing, is the level of competition. So you're going to get people that are going to start to spread themselves out. You're going to get people that become very addicted to the sport. They start to play a lot. They're coming every week. They're practicing at home. They got their pro darts. They got their elite darts. They're going out there and become extremely good, right? And then you're going to have people like me that love to come out. They want to drink a beer, hang out, decompress from a long week of work. They're going to play and they're going to get good. And then you're going to have the people like, my wife wants to come play every now and again and not play that well, but she has a good time playing, right? And if you start to put all those people together, a lot of people will start to find that they're not going to win, right? And everybody kind of wants to win. You want to win when you come out. So as the sport starts to grow, the competition level becomes sometimes intimidating for a new player, right? So if I walk into a cornhole tournament right now and it's 30 guys that have jerseys on and rolling around Zuka bags and they're throwing 4 bags into the hole every single time, and I go 2 times there and I never even score a point and I'm out in 2 games, am I really going to want to come back to that tournament? So as the sport starts to grow, as it starts to get better, organizers like myself, like yourself, Jeremy. Tyler, you an organizer yourself? You running tournaments?
I'm working on it, Ben. I'm getting there.
You know what? It's not for everybody, just so you know. I mean, tournament organizers have a built-in excuse to be really bad at the sport. But I got to deal with everything, I can't be good. I'm getting distracted, So it's a good way to do it. But an organizer needs to start, be cognizant of that, right? Like, hey, I need to make this environment available for everybody. The barrier of entry for a new player needs to be something where they feel comfortable. Right now everybody's kind of getting their feet wet with Pop Darts. People aren't hitting T-knobbers every round, right? But eventually, it's going to be, if you start playing darts, right? You play cricket, you got to throw triple 20s. Go on YouTube and watch some of these dart players. They're throwing triple 20s with 3 darts consistently, right?
Yeah.
So am I going to walk into a bar sport and play against the best dart player in the world and have a good time? I probably will once, but I'm not going to keep going back there every week. So I think that's kind of where the breakdown starts to, and we at Scoreholio pay attention to that kind of stuff. In cornhole and horseshoes, billiards, we have handicaps. So that's something that could start coming into the sport as well later, to be able to kind of even a field if you're playing more of a, not so competitive, but more for fun, like a fun league kind of thing. Sure. And there's a lot of things organizers can do. You get divisions that start to break people up as they start to get different skill levels. So then you get divisions. Or you can start playing different formats that we have, in the sport as well. So, or within the app as well to kind of even it out. So, I think that's one of the main things. You're just going to get guys that are that get very competitive, and you get the competitive juices going, and it can be fun. But yeah,
I like that.
Yeah. So Ben, from your perspective, what do the best run leagues or events tend to have in common?
I will say that, in my opinion, what I just talked about, right? The ease of coming into the sport is a good one. So like getting in there, but I think Jeremy, you've been to a TCL, the Texas Cornhole League tournament.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yep. I've been to
and
absolutely a signature series event.
They'll have like 1,000 players there. The Spencer McKenzie's is like the biggest tournament in in cornhole, and it is fun, right? It is a good time. Everybody's having fun. There's a high level of competition at the tournament, but everybody's having a good time. So I think that as long as you can keep everything, having fun, number one, you make sure that people come in, they can have a good time, they can enjoy themselves. Number two is keeping the integrity, right? Things have to make sure that people feel like they didn't get ripped off, that things were, I always tell organizers, you mess up, like if you do something shady one time, you're going to lose everybody that plays with you. Just never do anything shady.
Yeah.
It's got to be, integrity's got to be at the top level of every one of your tournaments. And then number three, I always tell people to give people as much information before a tournament as you can, so they know what they're stepping into. If I'm putting $100 into a tournament, I know what I'm getting into. So I break it down. We're going to do a 4-game round robin. We're going to go into a double elimination. We're going to be playing to 21. The payouts are this, the prize money is this, or the prizes are these. So they know, what, I got 5th place. I got a teddy bear, whatever, as a prize. That's what I was told I was going to get. And so therefore I feel good about the thing. So I think that as long as you can make it a community, you can have integrity, and you can, have people prepared for what they're getting into. I think that that's some of the most successful organizations that are out there. At least doing it in other sports. I was just on the phone this morning with a woman up in Montana, and she's going to be running a 300-person billiards tournament. And,
wow.
It's really tough in billiards. They do have handicaps. They use a system called Fargo rating. And one of the things that she was talking about is how the players need to know exactly what their handicap is going to be against other players, right? Yeah. And she's like, we need to make sure in the app that we can show that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. And so that's integrity, and that's also getting them prepared for what they're going to do. And I think that those two can be very, very important in running tournaments.
Yeah, no, I think it's similar, I guess, kind of, I'll also say to like bowling.
Yeah.
Like when we go to a bowling, whether it's city or state, you got to know what your handicap is. You got to know what you're playing against, otherwise you don't know, what you're getting into. So right. I like that. I mean, it draws some parallels for guys that haven't played other sports. So.
I will add one more, because you just made a good point, because, I've been to a bowling tournament where I sat for like 3.5 hours. It got really cold. I think time management is also a very important thing in running tournaments. You really don't want people sitting around for like 4 hours doing nothing, right? You got to give them something to do. And, that's one of the things about Scoreholio and our app is that we really strive on efficiency. The system, you as the organizer or the player may not know all the mechanics behind it, but at least it's pumping out all these algorithms to get you onto the courts as quick as possible. We have a calculator on our app where you could go in and you could type in your format, how many players you have, how many courts you have, and it'll spit out exactly how long that tournament's going to take and how long in between rounds it's going to be. So you can sit there and be like, well, each round is 45 minutes. If these people have to sit for 3 rounds, they're going to be there for 2 hours and 15 minutes. That's too long between rounds. I got to either get more courts, I got to break into divisions and have different start times, things like that. So time management can definitely be something that keeps your players motivated to keep on coming back and be a successful organization as well.
Yeah, and you kind of almost jumped into my next question, but when did you realize that like Scoreholio, it wasn't just supporting sports and supporting competitions, but that you guys actually like influence the way sports and tournaments and things are being run. It's not necessarily, I feel like, you kind of hinted a little bit at it, but you guys really do have an influence on some of the changes in how tournaments started getting run and how they started going.
Yeah, it's interesting. Just a little backstory for you guys, and I'll make it quick. I'm not going to go through the history of when I was in fifth grade. Like Goonies. But anyways, God, I guess I'm old, but some people might not get the Goonies reference there. But Scoreholio was made by me and my best friend, right? And I was running charity events, cornhole charity events in my community. And I was using a paper and pen and whiteboard. And, I wanted to be more efficient. We were going from a place that had 10 courts to 3 courts, and I didn't know how I was going to make it. We just made a spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet ended up being something that I used and was extremely efficient at getting players onto courts. And then eventually people started using it out of nowhere. We were just giving it out to people. We had day jobs that were great. And eventually it blew up and started getting bigger. Well, at the beginning of the sport, whenever I was running it, everybody was really doing what was called a blind draw double elimination. So you go to a tournament, you get a partner, and you'd run, you'd get paired with a partner, and you'd have them the entire tournament, and then, you run a double elimination, which, little caveat, is my least favorite format. With Jeremy and I have gotten many conversations about that. But anyways, I digress. So what was happening was, a lot of people would get stuck with a player like me that isn't very good. Like to say the best player in the house would get a player like me. They would be out in 2. We call it 0-2 in barbecue, right? You're off to the barbecue after you go 0-2. And so, we were talking to a couple of, there are other places that were doing this really cool format where they were giving everybody a different partner every round. And then they would go into like a double or a bracket after like a round robin. And so there's a guy, Bill Sableski, he was doing it in Ohio. Another guy, Greg Barr, he was doing it up in San Jose, and they were using chips and things like that. And so we just were like, hey, we could code this, right? So we called it Scoreholio. It was a format. And what you would do is you'd play 4 rounds, and every round you'd get a new player. And then based off of how you did in that round robin, you would get a partner set for the bracket. Well, I would do a single elimination after that, but a lot of people do double elimination. But the thing about it is, it became in terms of influencing the sport. I mean, from 90% blind draw double elimination, I would say that there's now 70% Scoreholio in our app that are being ran, because what happens is it becomes a very big social environment, right? Because I go in there, I've never met a person in my life. And all of a sudden, I'm playing with 4 different people. Let's say I get somebody that's really good. Now I can learn some things from that person. Maybe the next round I get somebody that's just there for fun and he's having some drinks. And I'm like, hey, you know what? I'll have some drinks with you too. And I become best friends with them. Or, the next round I'm playing with somebody's kid and they're like, having a great time learning and I'm teaching them something, right? Well, you're getting all of that. And so if you're not good, you can kind of hide and you're only ruining 4 people's 1 round for that night. But you're also getting everybody a lot of rounds. So you're getting a lot of repetition, a lot of practice. You're throwing a lot of darts, right? You're getting that repetition that you need to then go into, a bracket afterwards. So in terms of like a bump or a nudge in the world of sports, I would say that format Scoreholio really did make a big difference for us. And then if I could just quickly do another one real quick, because I know I'm talking a lot, so I hope I'm not talking too much. But the other one is we have what's called Score Magic, which does advanced scoring. And so that will tell, you in cornhole how many bags are on the board, bags are on the floor, bags are in the hole, and start giving you the advanced stats. And we're going to be doing that soon for Pop Darts. And that's another nudge, I think, that is really going to be a big one, for the sport.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting.
Yeah,
that's something that if you don't know this about the Pop Darts community and the players and the fans, whether it be pros or casual, fans and collectors of all the darts, they love all that. They want to know every little thing. Yeah. I cannot wait to see all the discussion that comes up as those stats start to come out and all because it's going to be, we've talked about it on the show a couple of times, but where it's like, I'm going to be interested to see what stats predict, the better players, what stats have no influence whatsoever, other than maybe a bragging right here.
I know. Does a double doink make you a better player if you get a couple more double doinks than somebody else? You know what? We're making some very good progress. I would say we're about 60% through with getting to where we need to be. We're going to start outlining how the stats are displayed to players and things like that. But getting it, because you got to enter the score round by round, right? You're going to throw the darts, you got to enter in the score. So we got to make it as intuitive as possible and as quick as possible for you to do that. In sports, you get into a groove. You don't really want to. Okay, I got to do 8 different screens here, right? So we're trying to get it to be as user friendly as possible. But these advanced stats are going to be the key for a lot of sports. I mean, in cornhole, or if you look at horseshoes, they do what's called a double ringer percentage, right? And so you get based and ranked based off of how your ringer percentage is. In Pop Darts, we could start doing some sort of level of rankings for everybody. Like, well, you're going to get your points per round. How many points do you typically score per round in Pop Darts, right? And so right now you're probably not even thinking about that, but eventually you're going to be like, wait a second, this guy's throwing 7 points per round and I'm throwing 1.2. Like, that's going to be something that's very interesting. On top of that, like another cool thing that Phil, who works with us, he's going to start running Pop Darts leagues in Kansas City. I think we were talking about that, Jeremy.
Very cool.
One thing that he came up with, he was like, I really want to see how often I get the first dart to stick, how often I get the second dart, and how often I get the third dart. So you're going to have a third dart stick percentage, right? So you're going to know most of the time, I just cannot get that first dart to, like, let's say that you have a 20% first dart stick percentage and you have an 80% third dart, right? You're going to have to start working on that first dart and figuring out what's in your head or what your release is, or are you targeting the target marker too much on that first one, and maybe on your third you're just trying to stick. Like, what is it in your psyche that's going on that's causing that to happen? And I think that once you start breaking that down, and the guys that are really competitive, like Jeremy's going to be he's going to be doing push-ups. He's going to be doing push-ups between dart 2 and 3.
You just brought this up in my mind. This is where it goes right away. But I want to see the percentage of shot towers hit per round and compare that to percentage of third dart stuck, because I think that's where people are going to go for the tower. And I think you're going to see people that have a low third dart percentage probably have a higher tower percentage. So those are again, that's where I can nerd out on Pop Darts all day.
Oh, I know.
That's where my mind goes is what are these stats going to, like, how do they combine?
Right.
And what do they mean?
Yeah.
So that's super cool.
That's interesting. That's something that we're, the 2026, one of the things we want to do is like get more in, do it. Either of you play fantasy football by any chance?
Yeah,
No?
I've played.
Okay,
I played this year.
At the end of like a match every week, they give you like, Yahoo's gigantic $1 billion company, right? So they have a little more money than Scoreholio, but they give you this amazing AI, like, this happened with this player and this happened against this player. So we want to get into like a lot more of that AI type of like recap. So that type of stuff, Jeremy, could be kind of cool. Tyler keeps on trying to throw his third dart at the tower shot. He never hit, so therefore he lost, right? Kind of a thing. It'll be like 50% of people that throw a fender bender during a match win. Like how crazy,
right?
That's maybe they're just that
would
lucky.
Be a stat I want to see.
Yeah,
I would want to see how many people hit it. Hey, we're still developing. Here you go, Ben. How many people lose hitting a T-knobber?
Yeah,
I can. That is a stat. I need that stat so that I can sit up here and just make fun of people as often as I can. Because that is a hilarious stat. Like, it is a hilarious stat. Hitting that T-knobber.
Well, just wait till once you guys, and I know Jeremy's going to get it there eventually, and nothing's made of the day, but eventually it's going to be worldwide. So then you can start saying, like, how many T-knobbers were thrown in Virginia versus, Wisconsin this month. And then you can start seeing, like, what states are throwing more T-knobbers.
They're already, and we're not there yet, and they're already all talking crap all across. The states are already talking crap to each other, so it's going to happen.
Well,
so,
that's we have a very cool format called Scoreholio in the app, and Scoreholio, it's actually my favorite format to run. It's super fun, and basically you get like 2 clubs, right? So let's say Tyler has his club with 10 guys, and Jeremy's got his 10 guys. And you play every player from one club plays every player from the other club one time, and it takes your squad score. So whoever basically gets 51 games first wins the Scoreholio, and our system will actually run that entire operation for you. And do all the math and all the everything behind the scenes while you're playing, and it is so much fun. So it's.
I got a couple clubs that are going to love to hear that, because there's a couple clubs that are close enough that I feel like they're going to want to do that.
Oh, yeah.
It's the most there's fun. Some clubs down.
The sport of cornhole, and I'm assuming Pop Dart sometimes doesn't have like the biggest fan base that shows up for your weekly thing. Maybe you have your wife that comes and gets a glass of wine while you play, kind of a thing. But I will say, when we run Scoreholio tournaments, like, people show up, like other club members that aren't playing want to see, like, can you beat that other club? The only problem is, when we first built Scoreholio, it was super fun because I was always invited on a team. But then we got into like a bunch better players, and I was never invited to be on the club team anymore. I was always on like the C team. It's like, I can't even get invited for my own Scoreholio tournaments now.
That's really cool. That's a cool format. I like that. Yeah, it's going to be, especially when you have like clubs that are in close proximity. What we're going to see in the early part of this sport is they probably stemmed from the original. So to get 2 clubs that are close by in these early days means somebody probably grew through a club and then said, I'll get one a little closer to home, and then built his own club up. So you're going to have a lot of crossover of those players, which I think is going to make that a fun little tournament for those guys to kind of talk some smack. And
I'll tell you, the very first one that we ran, it was popularized by this guy Bobby Tovar in Fresno, and he used to run them all the time. And the very first one we had, we were down because it was 10 versus 10. So first one to 51 wins. And I think we were down 46 to like 25 or 28. And we came all the way back and won 52 to 49 or something. We didn't let them win a match. It was crazy. It was the most exciting thing ever. So it's so fun. I've run them in pickleball. I've ran them in horseshoes. It's a great time every time. It doesn't matter the sport. You're going to have a good time.
Wow.
That's cool. I got a question for you because it's a hot topic. We hit it maybe 2-3 times in the mailbag episode last week, and so a lot of guys are asking about it. A lot of guys are asking about, and this is not directed to you. This was directed at us, but they were asking, me, do we think ranking systems are flawed? Do we think that they're people play the system or do that? My question for you is not any of that. Like, we handled it. We don't think so. But why do you think, I'm curious, do you think it's like one of the most like emotional, you know what I mean, for like players and fans? Like why do they, why does it become such an emotional piece of, of the game as they're going?
Absolutely. And I will tell you that if you go on our Scoreholio Organizers and Players, which is our group on Facebook, it gets brought up all the time. And it's something that I have to not so much defend, just kind of more explain how the algorithm works, right? And I will tell you that we work with Pickleball that does Duper, which is DUPR. They have a system. Billiards has Fargo rate. We have Scoreholio player rating, right? There's all these different spots that have rating systems. I will say most of them are based off of what's called the ELO system. So ELO. So you can look it up on Wikipedia. They actually have the algorithm there. It was made by Arpad Elo, I don't know, 200 years ago, right? And this guy made it for the sport of chess. So if you look at chess players, most chess players that are super good aren't the dumbest people in the world. They know what they're doing, right? And this Arpad Elo guy was a pretty smart man as well. So the system is good. It works. It's tried. It's true. The problem is that there is a cap at the top, right? You can't just keep going forever. You can't just, like, if you're in Scoreholio player rating, it's 0 to 100. If you just let everybody keep going up, everybody's 100. What is the point of that, right? So you have to have diminishing returns as you get to the top. So I think what happens as a hot topic is as you get closer to the top, you start winning less rating points, right? You get when you're at a 50 and you win, you can get a whole point up, right? You go to 51. When you're at a 90, you can't go up 1 every win. You're going to be at 100 really quick. So you're like 0.001, right? So it starts, and then if you lose, you're not supposed to lose because you're the best player in the world. So if you lose, you're going to drop a lot more than if, you're at a 30, right? And then you're only going to drop a little if you lose because you're already down there. That's what you're supposed to do is lose. So the system looks at who you're playing against, right? So Ben's playing Jeremy. Jeremy's much better than Ben. Jeremy should win the game. Not only should win the game, but our system looks at how much should you win that game by. If you're like that much better, you should win by 13. If you're not, it should be close. Well, if you don't get in that range, then you're going to go up higher or down lower, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you a quote because I did pull this up because I was wondering. I was like, I bet you they asked me about rankings because you guys have been talking about it. So I was like, this is actually a quote from our Elo. So it says, the process of rating players can be compared to the measurement of a position of a cork bobbing up and down on the surface of agitated water with a yardstick tied to a rope, which is swaying in the wind, right? And the reason why he says that is because it's the truth. People are getting better and worse, right? They're going up and down.
Sure.
You're trying to measure a point in time across all these players that are playing, right? And if you get better or worse, you got to keep that rating system as fluctuated as possible. So the keys or why it's such a hot topic is everybody wants to be better, right? Everybody wants to have the best one. But you're going to, as you get really good, there's a point of diminishing returns. And it's always going to go up and down because somebody's going to get better than you or maybe a little worse than you, and you're going to keep going up and down. So the measurement system, the rating system, it's almost an imperfect science, right? I always tell people, I'm like, they're like, hey, what if you just adjusted this? And I said, okay, we'll adjust that. And everybody will go up 2 points, right? If everybody goes up 2 points, it's still the same rating system.
Right.
The key is if you look at your club, right? And you look down your club, are the best players at the top or near the top, right? And are the middle players in the middle and are the bottom players at the bottom? Then that rating system's doing a good enough job to put those players into divisions or, separate them to be able to play or seed them in a bracket. So that way it's more fair or, has more integrity for the tournament. So I guess it's a long-winded answer. I get it. I have to explain it all the time.
I like it.
I think it's best player. Good players always want to just keep going up. They want to hit the cap, right? So
I think I don't want to say it hit our league, but I think the one example I can give is like as you're growing and as you're playing, and I think I played a guy that just I don't think he's won much. He's a big fan of the sport, loves it, comes out. I think it took him almost 2 months to win his first match, but he shows up every week. He's great, a great advocate of the sport, plays all the time. And I think he took me to like a 21-18 game. And I think I might have actually dropped and he went up a little and it wasn't a lot, but I had won the game, but he had scored so many points and somebody had asked me about it. And I'm like, I'm supposed to beat him, like if you're not doing right, it's almost one of those, I'll call everybody out that doesn't like it. I won't do it on your Facebook page, but it's, if you didn't play well, if you faced a guy you were supposed to beat, and didn't do, or squeaked out. I've won matches where I squeaked out a victory that should have been a landslide. And already.
I will tell you this, if there's one thing I can get across to your listeners, your players, is that it's a marathon. It's not a sprint, right? So one of the flaws I think we did as a decision, and we did it because of the integrity and that kind of stuff. We want to show everybody everything that happens. We show you the up and down of every game. Right. So you see, hey, I played this game. I went up 0.1, 0.2, whatever. I went down 1 or whatever. I played tennis. That was my sport for years. I played it for 12 years. I was USTA 3.5, 4.0. Not very good like everything else I do. But, they don't tell you anything. And then in September every year, you're like, what am I? And you're like a 3.5. Right. And you're a 3.5 for the entire year. And then so next September, I'm a 4.0. And then you're a 4.0 the rest of the year. Well, it's a marathon, right? So if you look at where you're at now and then where you're at in a month or 3 months, that's a good snapshot of where you're at in your game right then and there, right? So it's a marathon, not a sprint. Don't let the 1.01 or the 1.2 or whatever in a game distract you or discourage you. Use it as motivation, and know that if you do go down, the lower you are, the faster you go up. So, if you have a bad game, take that as, hey, you know what? That's a little bit of a trampoline. I'm a little lower. Now I can bounce a little higher, right? So, just so you know, it was made because I ran tournaments locally, and we would have people show up that were really good at it. I didn't know. And I was like, they'd sign up for like the lowest level division, and they would win. They would destroy everybody. So we were like, we need something that kind of just shows us, like, hey, this guy's a 70. He should not be playing with a bunch of 30s. Is a 72 supposed to be a 75 or a 69? Maybe, I don't know, but they're in their range, they're in their spot, kind of a thing, and that's what it is. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint, kind of a thing. So hopefully that helps.
I love it. I love it. And we got a ton of good stuff from you. Anything you guys say to, the What's Poppin' fans, the Pop Darts community, kind of in closing? I mean, whether it's about Scoreholio, whether it's about the sport, I mean, any advice you got for these guys out here as this grows and as this, continues its, hopefully its steep ascent, into, a common sport across the nation.
And also to add on to that, where do you see Pop Darts going?
There you go.
I actually think the cornhole has just shot up, right, in the past 6-7 years, and we've just seen, knock on wood. I mean, we are very lucky human beings to be able to hit that ride in that wave. It really made the app who it is, and so we couldn't thank the cornhole world enough. I see Pop Tarts doing the same exact thing. I mean, I went at that one where I was going to run the tournament. People were like, "What is this? How do I do it?" And then they would get one to stick, and they were so excited. Back in the day with cornhole, you would throw 4 bags in the hole. We used to pick up the board, and you would sign it with a Sharpie because you were so excited that you threw all 4 into the hole, right? Now, everybody throws 4 bags in the hole. So it's like, you'd literally have just a black board if you try to let everybody sign it. But, that level of excitement, throwing a tee. I threw my first tee number. I messaged Jeremy like I think I was still playing the game. And I messaged him. I was like so excited. That level of excitement, the barrier of entry, like I was talking about, I see it just, going through the roof. I think that I love, in cornhole, we have a little bit of a difference because the bags have, 2 different sides, right? Like a fast side, a slow side. You can use different fabrics. But one thing I love about Pop Tarts is how much people love the colors of the Pop Tarts. I mean, it is so fun and exciting to hear that on the Pop Tarts VIP, Facebook. Oh, yeah. They're like, when my silver's coming out. I love that. For me, because it's because I'm not very good. I don't really care about a payout. You give me $100, big deal. I want a trophy or a medal or like a gold Pop Tart. Like that sounds exciting to me. So that kind of stuff we want to add it into the app, right? So you'll be able to see my USA app, my USA darts. So I'm like throwing like a 6 PPR with those, and with my silver darts, I'm throwing like a 4. Like what the heck?
That's awesome.
I'm telling you, there's something to it. You look at like a pitcher, right? Or somebody shooting a free throw, right? What are they doing? They're doing the same routine every time to try to get it into the hoop on their free throw. Maybe just out of the corner of your eye, you see that color coming out, and that's what's making you throw a little better. Who knows? Maybe that's something. But that kind of stuff, I think, is going to be really fun in Pop Darts, being able to track that kind of stuff and the excitement that people have, the hoarding of the darts. I saw a post the other day. This guy had like 1,000 darts. I'm like, it was just, that was stuff that I saw in, the other sports that really took off. That excitement, people wanting to run tournaments, Jeremy getting out there, building the APL, is incredible. We built that whole system so that way everybody can see every game that they played. They can see the point system, how many points they have, grow in it, eventually get on ESPN and play. I mean, the guys over at Pop Darts, Jason and them that really pushed the product and it's exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you can hear it out of I'm excited. We're excited as a team. We
love it.
We think it's going to be exciting and fun.
Awesome.
Very cool.
We appreciate you coming on today. I mean, it's been a lot of fun, and it's exciting to bring guests in because they share. I mean, we get excited about it, but maybe we just nerd out sometimes. So
might be a little bit of it
to see.
Yeah.
So we kind of like to see the excitement from somebody that's not us.
I can't wait to see all these nerd stats that we're getting soon. I can't wait.
Well, hopefully I get invited on again, and we can kind of go through stats next time.
Yes.
The next time we're gonna need all the stats going on, and then what we'll need to do is we'll have to like pull up like a couple. I mean, once Mr. T's playing in a bunch of leagues, and we'll pull our stats up and talk some crap about the stats and what they all mean or don't mean, and that'd be a blast. I mean,
just a couple of quick things just so people know. We do have an amazing live chat, so if you're in a tournament, you can click on admin, click live chat, live support. If you go to scoreholio.com, click the bottom right. We always email people back. We have tournament organizers there to be able to help you. Jeremy obviously does a great job getting back to people as well, but we're always happy to help, answer questions. If you're trying to figure out, hey, I got 32 people and I got 5 courts, and I got a bar that needs me out of here at this time. I geek out on that kind of stuff. So come on in, ask me those questions. I'm happy to email you. You can email Ben@scoreholio.com, info@scoreholio.com. Get on the live chat. We do free Zoom tutorials if people want to learn how to do that. Jeremy and I have talked about maybe possibly doing big group ones if we need to later on. We're here to help. We love it, and hopefully we can grow together.
Awesome.
I love it. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Tyler. It's great. We'll see each other soon.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. That was a lot of information.
Wow. He's passionate.
Yeah,
boy,
he is.
Does he know his stuff?
Inside and out, upside down, backwards, forwards. He knows it. That's just incredible.
If you're a stat guy, holy cow.
Oh, I know. I cannot wait to see these stats. I was every time I had a thought in my head for a question to ask him, he answered it. He was in my head answering my questions before I could get him out.
I don't know that we've had an interview where we've prepped questions for the person to join us on our show for our guest
and thrown half of them out.
Answered them before we asked the question.
I know
it was like, this is either he's reading my screen, he's either reading my mind.
He was in my head. Yeah, I know. That's exactly how I felt.
He was great, and it was so cool to see. It's again fun to see people that share the passion for Pop Darts. That part of this is, of course we do this, we love it, but
I wasn't expecting the passion out of him that he has, which is so cool to see that he's got that passion for Pop Darts. I know Cornhole has kind of been his baby that has grown his app to what it is now, and obviously all the other sports along with it. But I know Cornhole was really the big one that took it on and ran with it. And I think he's seeing a lot of Cornhole in Pop Darts.
I think so too, and I think that I guess I'm kind of glad at what he latched onto for Pop Darts. And what I mean by that is I'm glad that he's latched onto the things that I guess I'm kind of proud of that we're doing in the league, which is really the excitement, the energy, he mentioned so many things about, how you got to keep new players in and keep people excited. And that was the stuff that, we really do spend a lot of time on, Jason and Josh and, the APL and, that's stuff that we do talk about. That's stuff that we want to do, for the league. So that part I think was really cool that, that he mentioned it, that he had kind of brought, like, that's what got him excited about Pop Darts. That's cool. That's a really,
for sure.
It was a striking kind of testimonial, on our behalf. And he blew a little too much smoke up my butt. I'm going to have to give him a lot of crap later because him and I, for those of you that done it, him and I we don't go at it, but him and I go back and forth all the time. So is such he's a perfectionist. He's busy. He moves very similar to me. He moves at 1,000,000 miles an hour. If anybody can't,
he does. Yeah, I can see it.
Can't tell. So, awesome interview. I honestly can't wait, and I don't know what season it'll be. I don't know what episode it'll be. But when we got some stats to talk about, I can't wait to have him back to nerd out over.
I can't wait to see how well I throw black darts compared to the Rizzle darts compared to the fire darts.
It's funny. I did not
find out which one is actually my favorite dart.
I forgot he was doing that because he did tell me. I did know, but then he brought that back up, and I was like, "Oh, that's right." And then
that's amazing.
I meant to ask him. Then can I see yours? There's a competitive edge. Can I go on and see, like, hey, we flip imagine a coin flip. Right. You get honors or this, but you can also select dart, and you're like, well, then I'm taking this one. Mr. T has all his T-knobbers with red. No more. He's like, I will take that dart.
Right.
So I don't know if you could see other people's stats or not. It's a question I wanted to ask. So
that was
it was cool. And then I want to see, and we're going to do this. Maybe we'll bring him on at kind of towards the end of of season 1 of the APL. But what dart reigns king of the world?
Right.
What dart based on percentage and like volume?
Sure.
What dart is the most popular dart?
That'd be fun to see.
We'll have to ask Jason if it's also
if it lines up with sales,
dart.
Right?
Yeah, if it's the most one selling dart, or if the APL pros are are doing it, and then we'll watch the skyrocket of the pink Rizzle dart when everybody finds out that it's like double the T-knobber success of any other.
You mean the free mystery pack?
and people are going to find out that the T-knob, those are leading the world, in T-knobbers. Then he's going to sell a whole boatload of them.
Right.
So yeah, it was fun. He's an exciting guy. He's a fun guy. He works so hard for the community, in pop darts, and it's because of him that we're able to do a lot of the, the stuff on, on the growth side, or the reason that it kind of got bigger faster is, and we thank the cornhole world for that as well, because having an app like that set up and moving for us has really been, has been cool. So it was cool to see that side of him. Everybody knows we're on Scoreholio, but, there's a personality behind all that work and that app and that everything. I will say, I'm going to echo one thing to those watching. Absolutely take him up on that toggle chat or that chat if you're running an event.
Yeah, that's awesome. The live chat.
It's instant.
That's amazing.
I don't care if you're running it if you want to run a tournament at 1 a.m. and you're at 1 a.m. and you can't figure out why something's doing something, and it happens to me all the time. That I tried to do a different format that I'm used to or something, and no courts are populating. You can go right to that toggle chat and just say, no courts are populating, WTF. And it, ... and it's a real person. They keep somebody there that knows how to organize.
Oh, wow.
That can jump into your tournament and actually help you and change the settings for you at the time the tournament's going on, so that you're not sitting around with.
So it could just be another organizer that knows the system well enough and is signed on to be able to help with the chat. That's awesome. No, they keep somebody that's trained to fix it, help you, get you through it. So very cool.
And I've made everything from complex mistakes to like just idiot mistakes. I clicked a button that said, I think one of my early mistakes, I clicked a button saying no person can be on the court back to back. Well, then all 10 people in the tournament, these half had played on court 1 and these half had played on court 2,
right?
And they couldn't play anymore. And I'm like, oh my goodness, here we go. So that's the stuff where it can be a rookie mistake and be a tough one, but they are incredible that way.
That's awesome.
In terms of the support and keeping you running. So yeah, that was good. I had a blast, chatting with him. And so I guess we can kind of, jump into or just talk about what's next week. Next week is the season finale.
It is.
It is. We've come a long way. So we've had clips come in. If people have more clips, get them to us soon that you like. And you're more or less going to watch Mr. T and I laugh at each other, laugh at, the guests, some of the segments, some of the things we've done.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, we're going to review the 10 most popular clips from season one and our reaction to them. So that one we might have to air. Might have to record that one late at night, and I can have a beer and watch, because some of that's going to be hard to watch, and some of it I'm going to be laughing way too hard at some of our growing pains. So I
haven't looked back at the first episode yet. I know we talked about that, but I think I'm gonna wait till next episode and see how we've grown.
it'll be something. And I know if when we start digging, we're gonna find some not so. I hope that the blooper reel makes it. That had me rolling so fast. That stuff was fun. So well, we'll find out, I guess, what we have in store for next week. So
looking forward to it.
We appreciate you guys. This is a fun episode. Watch it twice, man, because you could see how much information.
I've got to go back and watch it already because there's so much information there, and just the future of Pop Dart stats is going to be very exciting.
Yeah, and drop a comment. What dart are you going to put up against another dart in your professional APL season? Let's see which one is better. Put your two favorite darts down there, and we'll see which ones are outperforming the others. So,
right.
Thank you guys. We appreciate it. We'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, everybody.
That's another round of What's Poppin', the most satisfying sports podcast in the world with Mr. T and the Commish. The only place where suction cups and smack talk collide. Follow the madness on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube at What's Poppin' Podcast. And catch every episode wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, keep your aim tight and your suction strong.